The Bugosphere was carbon dated to 12,560 years ago, which of course is almost 3 times older than the Great Pyramid. And that is based on the resin material that are in the equatorial ports around the middle of the equator of the Bugosphere.
It started with an object that shouldn't exist. In March 2025, a farmer in rural Colombia uncovered a metal sphere buried in his field. No crater, no heat, just grass around it stripped of all moisture.
We have found inside this sphere is out of the mind, my friend. It's really high technology. This object, for the first time, is in the hands of civilians.
How does something arrive without breaking the laws of physics? Within weeks, scientists reached a terrifying conclusion. The object wasn't improbable, it was impossible. Quantum computers failed, physicists went silent, and classified reports began to circulate. Then the markings were decoded, and they weren't a message, but instructions. This object is called the Bugosphere, and it may change our understanding of reality forever. The discovery. Before the world knew its name, because the details matter here. Juan Velasco is a coffee farmer in the Buga region of Colombia. He's lived on this land his entire life. He knows every inch of that soil. He knows what belongs there and what doesn't. So when he walked into his field one morning in early March and noticed something strange glinting in the soil near the eastern edge of his property, he knew immediately that something was wrong. The object was partially buried, smooth, metallic, and unlike anything he'd ever seen in 53 years of working that land. It wasn't rusted like old machinery. It wasn't jagged like shrapnel. It was perfect, almost too perfect. A sphere of grayish metal sitting in a shallow crater, as if someone had gently placed it there. When Juan reached down and picked it up, the first thing he noticed was the weight. It felt wrong. Not heavy exactly.
Jose ran for the sphere, took it with both hands, and then he realized that was not heavy,
but dense in a way that didn't match its size, like holding a bowling ball compressed into something the size of a grapefruit. The surface was cool to the touch despite sitting in direct sunlight, and it was covered in markings, intricate symbols etched into the metal with a precision that made his hands tremble. His daughter Maria was nearby, helping with the morning chores. She walked over to see what her father had found. That's when she said something that would later become one of the most analyzed details of this entire case. She said she could hear something. A low hum, barely audible like bees trapped inside a jar. Juan couldn't hear it, but Maria insisted. The sphere was making a sound. It was alive in some way that neither of them could explain. Juan did what most people would do. He brought the object home, he showed it to his wife, he called his brother. Word spread through the village the way word always spreads in small communities. By evening, someone had posted photographs online. By midnight, those photographs had been shared thousands of times. And by sunrise the next morning, military vehicles were rolling down the dirt road toward Juan's farm. What happened next was swift and systematic. The farm became a restricted zone within hours. Soldiers in unmarked uniforms cordoned off the area. Juan was separated from his family and questioned for nearly 6 hours. They asked him where he found it. They asked him if he had touched anything else. They asked him if he had seen anything in the sky the night before. They asked him the same questions over and over in different ways, as if trying to catch him in a lie. His phone was confiscated. His brother's phone was confiscated. Everyone who had seen the sphere was visited and told, in terms that left no room for interpretation, that they were not to speak about what they had witnessed. The sphere itself disappeared into the back of an armored transport truck. Official story? There was no official story. As far as any government was concerned, nothing had happened in Buga. But here's the thing about the modern world. Information doesn't stay buried the way it used to. Someone in that chain of custody, someone with access and a conscience, decided that this discovery was too significant to disappear into a classified warehouse. Copies of the photographs made it onto servers outside Colombia. Data was backed up in locations that couldn't be easily rated. And within weeks, independent researchers around the world were staring at high-resolution images of the sphere's surface, trying to make sense of what they were seeing. The entire outer shell was covered in symbols, geometric patterns arranged with mechanical precision. Linguists from universities across 4 continents took a crack at decoding them. They compared the markings to Sumerian cuneiform, to Mayan hieroglyphics, to ancient Sanskrit, to Chinese oracle bone script, to every known human writing system ever documented. They ran pattern recognition software. They consulted historians and archaeologists. They found nothing, 0 matches, 0 similarities. The symbols weren't from any civilization we've ever recorded, and that's when people started to get nervous. The quantum sphere. For weeks, the analysis stalled. The best minds on the planet stared at these glyphs and came up empty. Traditional computers couldn't find patterns. Human intuition failed. That's when a researcher at MIT proposed something radical.
Since its founding, MIT has been key to ensuring that American science and innovation lead the world.
Stop trying to translate it like a language. Stop using computers that think in straight lines. Feed the imagery into something that doesn't process information the way human brains do. They uploaded the sphere's markings into a quantum processor linked with advanced AI systems. Now, here's where you need to understand something fundamental about how this technology works. A normal computer is like a librarian searching for a book. It checks one shelf, then the next, then the next. It's fast, but it's linear. It follows a path. A quantum computer doesn't work that way. It doesn't check one possibility at a time. It exists in multiple states simultaneously. It becomes the entire library at once, exploring billions of potential solutions in parallel. When they fed the sphere's symbols into this system, the AI didn't try to translate them. It tried to solve them. 72 hours of continuous processing, 3 days of calculations running through quantum states that would take traditional computers longer than the age of the universe to complete. And then, at 3 in the morning on a Tuesday, the system flagged a match. The symbols weren't words, they were numbers. The first sequence on the outer shell corresponded to Planck's constant. That's the number that defines the smallest possible unit of energy in the universe. It's the foundation of quantum mechanics.
The rules of quantum mechanics. Your time starts.
But the match wasn't approximate. It was precise to 15 decimal places. That level of accuracy exceeds anything human instruments have ever measured. Then the AI found the second sequence. The fine structure is constant. This is the number that determines how strongly atoms hold together. If this value were even slightly different, matter as we know it couldn't exist. Stars wouldn't form. Chemistry wouldn't work. You wouldn't be here. And there it was, etched into the surface of an aluminum sphere sitting in a Colombian mud field. The scientists running this analysis weren't excited. They were disturbed. This wasn't a friendly hello from a neighboring civilization. This was someone demonstrating that they understood the fundamental mathematics of existence better than we do. Imagine you're a caveman, and you find a smartphone lying in the dirt. Etched on the back is the chemical formula for fire, the structure of DNA, and a diagram of nuclear fission. That's roughly equivalent to what these researchers were looking at. Whoever made this object didn't just live in the universe, they understood its source code. But the quantum analysis didn't stop with the first shell. As the AI processed deeper layers of the patterns, it found the golden ratio embedded in the spacing of the symbols themselves. The golden ratio is what some call the fingerprint of nature. You see it in the spiral of hurricanes, in the arms of galaxies, in the branching of trees, in the structure of your own DNA. It's everywhere. And the sphere had these proportions built into its very design. The closer you looked, the more information appeared. It was fractal geometry. Data compression at a level we can't replicate. We write code in lines. We store information in binary. This sphere stored information in geometry, in depth, in ratio. It was elegant. It was efficient. And it was screaming one undeniable truth. This object was manufactured. It was designed by an intelligence that thinks in ways we're only beginning to comprehend. Then came the structural analysis. X-ray imaging had already revealed that the sphere contained 3 nested shells inside, like Russian dolls. But when the AI modeled these shells according to the mathematical ratios carved on the surface, something remarkable emerged. If you aligned those inner shells correctly, they would create a specific type of field. Not an electromagnetic field, not anything we have a name for. A field that doesn't just block magnetism, but cancels it entirely. The mathematics suggested this object could theoretically negate gravity. We're talking about technology that DARPA has been chasing for decades, anti-gravity propulsion. And the blueprint was sitting in a farmer's field in South America. Sound as a weapon. The second layer of the code wasn't visual, it was auditory. The AI found oscillating patterns that didn't correspond to any visual element. When researchers converted these geometric gaps into sound waves, they produced a frequency that made the hair on their arms stand up. It matched data from LIGO, the Laser Interferometer Gravitational Wave Observatory. In 2015, LIGO detected the sound of 2 black holes colliding over 1 billion light-years away. It was a chirp in the fabric of space-time itself, the actual vibration of the universe. The Bugosphere had that exact frequency encoded into its second shell. Think about what that means. We needed a $4 billion facility with lasers shooting down 4-mile tunnels to detect that sound. This sphere had it written on its casing like a track listing on the back of a vinyl record. Remember Juan's daughter, the one who heard humming before the military arrived? Researchers analyzed background audio from cell phone footage taken at the scene. They isolated a tone, 432 hertz. Musicians have debated this frequency for decades. Some call it the cosmic frequency, claiming it aligns with the natural vibrations of the universe. Skeptics have always dismissed it as pseudoscience. Those skeptics aren't saying much anymore. The sphere was broadcasting this tone continuously. The quantum simulation revealed why. Those 3 nested shells aren't static. They're designed to float in magnetic suspension, creating a resonance chamber. When the sphere vibrates at specific frequencies, the shells amplify the wave. But they don't just affect air. They affect gravity. They affect light. The mathematics showed that if fully powered, this object would function as what scientists call a metamaterial cloak. It would guide light waves around itself, making whatever is inside effectively invisible. We've been trying to build this technology for years. The sphere solves the engineering problems we couldn't. It uses sound to bend light. It computes with reality itself. This is the part that keeps physicists awake at 3 in the morning. When researchers first weighed the sphere, it registered 16 pounds. 1 week later, without anything being added or removed, it weighed 22 pounds. Then it dropped back to 20. Mass is supposed to be constant. You can't just get heavier without adding atoms. That's one of the most fundamental principles in physics. Unless you're interacting with the Higgs field, the quantum field that gives particles their mass. The AI analysis suggests the sphere's resonance frequencies interact with what physicists call quantum foam, the virtual particles that constantly pop in and out of existence in empty space. The AI sphere appears to be pulling mass from the vacuum itself. It's harvesting energy from nothingness. If this is true, the object isn't just a data storage device. It's an engine, a machine that powers itself by tapping into the background energy of the universe, zero-point energy made physical. And remember that dead grass around the crash site? The simulation showed that at certain frequencies, the sphere pushes water molecules away. It creates a dry field, not through heat, through localized rejection at the molecular level. The bacteria in soil samples from the site weren't just dead. Their DNA had been unzipped. The bonds holding their genetic code together had simply dissolved. This suggests the sphere has a defense mechanism. Tamper with it incorrectly, and it scrambles the biology around it. We are looking at technology from a civilization so advanced that we can barely comprehend its purpose. And we have no idea how to turn it off. Right now, as you're watching this, that sphere is sitting in a lead-lined box in a facility that doesn't appear on any map. It's humming, it's listening, and the code suggests it's waiting for something. Destination: Earth. Dr. Lisa Park from Harvard took the quantum data and approached it from a different angle. She stopped looking at the symbols as mathematics and started looking at them as geography. She overlaid the patterns onto a three-dimensional model of the known universe. The markings on the third shell corresponded perfectly to the positions of pulsars. Pulsars are rapidly spinning neutron stars that act like cosmic lighthouses. They're the most accurate timekeeping devices in the galaxy. If you want to give someone directions across interstellar space, you don't say turn left at Mars. You use pulsars as reference points. This is exactly what we did with the Voyager probe in the 1970s. We included a map using pulsars to show any extraterrestrial civilization where Earth is located. The Bugosphere has the same type of map, but far more complex. And here's where it gets unsettling. The map isn't pointing to Earth. It's pointing from somewhere. The AI traced the triangulation lines. They converge on a specific location between the Andromeda Galaxy and the Triangulum Galaxy. Researchers checked Hubble telescope data for that region. They checked James Webb Space Telescope archives. There's nothing there. It's a void, a massive patch of empty darkness. But the sphere insists something is there. The coordinates are too precise to be random noise. The AI suggests we might be looking at what astronomers call a Type 2 civilization, one capable of building megastructures around stars, effectively harvesting every photon of energy and rendering themselves invisible to outside observation. They might be dark because they choose to be. 3 other coordinates appeared on the sphere's surface. One matched a fast radio burst source detected in 2022.
Fast radio bursts are brief but cataclysmic high-energy blasts that flare for just milliseconds, but release as much energy as our sun generates in 80 years.
Another corresponded to a gravity anomaly near Kepler 186f, an exoplanet in the habitable zone of a distant star. The third coordinate is pointed here, our solar system. This wasn't a random crash. Trajectory analysis confirmed that the sphere decelerated before impact. Meteors don't slow down. They hit at 20,000 miles per hour and leave craters. This object came in at terminal velocity, like it was dropped from an aircraft. It meant to land here. The pulsar map contained another layer that researchers almost missed. It wasn't just showing location, it was showing time. The alignment of stars depicted on the sphere matches the night sky as it appeared from Earth 12,000 years ago. That's the end of the last ice age, the dawn of human civilization as we know it. Did whoever made this visit us before? Or has this probe been orbiting our solar system for millennia, waiting for us to develop technology sophisticated enough to understand its message? The timing of its descent feels intentional. We cracked the quantum code, and the sphere came down, like a test that only activates when you're ready to take it. Rumors have surfaced about a second sphere, smaller, approximately 8 inches in diameter, allegedly held in a private collection in Tokyo. If the map hypothesis is correct, these objects might be network nodes, one in South America, one in Asia. How many more are buried beneath Antarctic ice? How many are sitting at the bottom of the Pacific, waiting? The pattern suggests a planetary grid, and we've only found 2 pieces. The ultimate threat. Now talk about what this actually means. If the simulations are accurate, this sphere represents technology that would fundamentally transform human civilization overnight. Dr. Chen from Caltech calculated the theoretical energy output if the sphere's resonance system operated at full capacity. A 12-inch device could generate enough power for a city the size of New York, forever, without fuel, without emissions, without infrastructure. It appears to violate the second law of thermodynamics, but it doesn't. It cheats. It harvests energy from the fabric of space itself. Imagine a world where electricity costs nothing. No oil wars, no nuclear waste, no coal mines, just these spheres humming quietly in power plants around the globe. The entire human economy would reorganize within a generation. Scarcity as we know it would evaporate. But the implications extend beyond energy. The biological scan data revealed something that made researchers whisper about medical applications that border on science fiction. If the field can be tuned to push water molecules out of organic tissue, it can be tuned to target specific cells, cancer cells, viruses, bacteria. You could theoretically vibrate a tumor out of existence without ever breaking the skin. It sounds like fantasy, but it's just advanced resonance physics operating at levels we've never achieved. And here's the catch that keeps military strategists up at night. The same technology that heals can destroy. Tune that sphere to the resonance frequency of tectonic plates, and you could trigger earthquakes on demand. Tune it to the resonance frequency of the human heart, and you have a silent weapon with no defense. This is why the data was seized. This is why the research teams went dark. This is why a coffee farm in Colombia is now a restricted military zone. They're not just studying this for scientific curiosity. They're assessing threat levels. They're trying to figure out what happens if this technology falls into the wrong hands. Or worse, what happens if it's already been distributed across the planet in spheres we haven't found yet? Gift, weapon, or test? What is the Bugosphere really? Is it a hoax? That's always the first question. Could a human build this? In theory, maybe. But they would need to invent entirely new alloys. They would need to solve quantum gravity, a problem that has stumped physics for a century. They would need to laser-etch symbols with atomic precision. They would need to create a device that changes mass, broadcasts gravitational wave frequencies, and contains a star map to the other side of the galaxy.
The most detailed 3D map of the Milky Way has been unveiled, which could reveal fresh light on the galaxy and the universe beyond.
All to drop it in a field in Colombia for a prank. The cost would be in the trillions. The motivation makes no sense. Is it a weapon? Possibly. The dehydration effect is terrifying. The DNA disruption in surrounding organisms suggests defensive capabilities we can't counter. If this thing powers up fully, the results could be catastrophic on a scale we've never witnessed. But weapons usually have obvious triggers. This object seems designed to communicate, not detonate. Or is it a test? This is the theory that keeps circulating in classified briefings. Maybe advanced civilizations scatter these objects across the cosmos like puzzles. If you're too primitive to understand them, they're just paperweights, curiosities. But if you develop quantum computing, if you crack the code, you unlock the secrets of the universe. You get the invitation to the big club. You graduate from an isolated planet to a member of a galactic community. We might have just passed the entrance exam. Think about how fast this is moving. March crash, May analysis, June quantum breakthrough. We are accelerating toward a paradigm shift that typically takes centuries, compressed into months. The feeling in the air is undeniable. Something fundamental is changing. The discoveries are coming faster. The revelations are getting stranger. The old certainties are dissolving. This sphere might be the catalyst that tips everything into a new era. We are not alone. That simple statement, if proven true, changes everything. It changes religion. It changes politics. It changes economics. It changes how every human being on this planet understands their place in existence. The Bugosphere is physical evidence that we are not the main characters in this story. We are the supporting cast in a universe far older and far stranger than our mythology ever imagined. There's a sphere sitting in a bunker right now. It's humming at 432 hertz. It's connected to coordinates pointing at a void between galaxies. Its code is running. And according to quantum analysis, it's waiting. For what? We don't know. A signal. A response. A trigger that hasn't been pulled yet. We're holding a live terminal connected to a server somewhere in the darkness between stars. And we have no idea what happens when someone on the other end picks up. So here's the question that lingers. If something like this appeared in your world tomorrow, silent, humming, waiting, would you hand it over and let it vanish behind locked doors, or would you listen, knowing some doors can't be closed once they're opened? The Bugosphere isn't just an anomaly, it's a test of our curiosity, our restraint, our readiness. Somewhere a message was sent, and it wasn't sent by accident. The code has been uncovered, the signal is active, and whatever comes next won't ask for permission. Because this wasn't the end of the discovery, it was the moment we were noticed.